problem is with Mr. Duterte is that he devoted much of his time attacking Drilon, the oligarchs, but when it comes to China, he's so meek, he's so shy, he's so afraid, he's so scared, like a little boy. Hello, welcome back to my channel, and this is again an Uncensored Asian vlog. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please click on the subscribe button, and also don't forget to click on the notification bell. You may also like to comment, share, and like this video. So yesterday I watched a portion of President Duterte's State of the Nation address, and this morning, today is July 28th, I decided to watch again some of the portions of the video. So it's all over the internet, it's all over YouTube. I downloaded the whole speech, and I had to watch some parts of that speech for me to be able to internalize what the heck is President Duterte's ideology. And I'm gonna tell you, it's quite boring, it's very uninspiring, as I said on my Twitter account. And yeah, that's exactly what I said. It's boring, uninspiring. I must say it's hypocritical as well. And the reason why I said it's uninspiring is it's not really presidential to me. And it's not inspiring the people during this time of crisis, all right? And when I watch, the video again, the whole speech, I must tell you that, it's still the same feeling, boring and uninspiring. And he devoted, although there are a few of the topics or subtopics in the speech that I really like, especially the cutting of red tape, and he would like, probably he was forced to simply go with the flow because of the new normal that we have today. So he said in the mid part of the speech that he's encouraging paperless system to cut red tape, but I don't think that's gonna cut red tape unless he's going to deregulate. Okay, red tape means regulation or over-regulation. That's all it means. Okay, if you're gonna say red tape is blah 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 blah, you're simply trying to dance around the term red tape. So red tape is caused by massive regulation, and according to President Donald Trump, the biggest deregulator on earth today, he deregulated the US economy, and he passed a law that would mandate that for every regulation that the government or Congress is going to pass, they're gonna cut 2 or 8 or 10 regulations. So that's the mandate. So in the Philippines, well, it's good that probably I'm not gonna tell you this, that's not gonna be the positive side of COVID, definitely. But President Duterte is right in calling for paperless transactions in government. And as he said, we need e-governance for our people to better transition into the new normal and minimize red tape. But I don't think that's going to be minimizing red tape, really. So, paperless transaction or setup is going to be exactly the same as going in person. But the only good thing is that you don't have to travel. All you need to do is do it on your cell phone or computer, and that's it. But that's different from cutting red tape. Cutting red tape means deregulation, all right? Cutting all these gridlocks and regulatory requirements that we have, that's what it means, or that's what cutting red tape means. So, all right, so there are a few things I would like to comment on Mr. Duterte's boring and 45-minute speech, if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see, the news outlets that we have in this country, Sunstar, for example, provided this summary or the checklist of President Duterte's speech. So I must tell you that he started with, of of course, COVID, having vaccine, etc. And you know, I must tell you as well that President Duterte's mentality about vaccine is really, really inaccurate and alarming. Because I said in the past, I have this video of Mr. Duterte on a news outlet. He's shown speaking about COVID vaccine being available by May, and that was April. I remember that because I made a vlog about that. Okay, I made a vlog of that wherein President Duterte was saying there is this company and he's waiting for that company to come up with a vaccine by May, and that was mid-April. All right, and I was commenting while the president was speaking on a YouTube video. I was saying that's totally inaccurate, that's totally impossible, and I was like criticizing him for that kind of mentality. So it's really gullible, and that tells us about how his thought process works. And I was saying, according to reports, etc., the vaccine is not going to be available by September, and by some estimates, if it's not going to be available by September, the vaccine is going to be available by end of year or probably next year. The reason why is these companies worldwide have to face all these regulatory requirements called red tape. So speaking of red tape again, they go through these regulatory requirements, red tape, etc. Apart from the research, apart from the, and not only that, there's going to be clinical researches, which is going to be very, very challenging for all of these research companies and pharmaceutical companies worldwide. But the good thing is, the United States under President Donald J. Trump issued this the right to try law. Okay. Cutting all the red tapes and regulations that are hampering or hammering all these research companies and pharmaceutical companies to come up with solutions to our medical problem. So, because of this right to try law, America was able to fast track its vaccine research and creation and manufacturing. So it depends upon the country as well, because the United States is very, very critical when it comes to making sure that the vaccine is going to be, really the solution to the crisis. Okay, making sure that it's going to be safe, that it's properly tested, that it is backed by, a lot of research before it's going to hit the market. In some other countries like China, we need to doubt about the effectivity and safety of those vaccines that they're going to issue in the market, especially Russia. There are some reports that vaccines are now available or about to be released or issued by Russia. So it depends upon the countries, because some countries are very strict when it comes to regulating or making sure that the vaccine or medicines, whatever that is, the Food and Drug Administration, for example, they make it really hard for these companies to produce food, drugs, and vaccines. So now let's get to the main issue of Duterte's speech. Okay, so basically it started, like I said, with his vaccine rant, saying that it's going to be available soon, blah blah blah, and he also said in some part of the video that schools are not going to be available, they're not going to be open unless vaccine is available. And he reminds me of the politicians, the Democrat politicians in the United States, saying that vaccine should be available before the schools are going to be reopened, which like I said, he reminds me of the Democrat politicians in the United States, especially the mayor in Los Angeles. Okay, so this is a part that I mentioned. So Duterte reiterated that he will not allow the traditional face-to-face teaching unless there is COVID-19 or CCP or China virus vaccine. I cannot put the lives of our teachers and students at risk. All right, so I might I'm gonna say that's commendable that he is considering the safety and life of teachers and students that's gonna be put at risk if they're gonna open the schools again. But according to a lot of research abroad in so many other countries, that young people are not really vulnerable to the virus, and a lot of countries, for example, in Europe, have reopened schools without not so much, repercussions or spike in vaccine or COVID-19 cases. So I don't know, but he reminds me of the Democrat or draconian totalitarian Democrats in the United States. So, well, basically, they share the same ideology. President Duterte is an avowed leftist or socialist, although he's not a member of the CCP, because the difference between leftist or socialist, CPP, what I mean, Communist Party of the Philippines, is a member of the Communist Party of the Philippines. So the difference between a socialist and a communist is that you must be a party member of the Communist Party of the Philippines for you to be considered a communist. That's what Nelson Mandela said. Okay, a socialist is someone who simply believes in the tenets, the dogma of socialism, Karl Marx, totalitarian statism, etc. But a communist is someone who is a member of a communist party of any country. In our country, it's the Communist Party of the Philippines. In China, it's a Communist Party of China, or the CCP. In the US, they have the Communist Party of America. So now let's get to the second issue, because I have to tell you this. President Duterte devoted much of his minutes or time attacking Senator Franklin Drilon. Franklin Drilon must have done something to piss Duterte off, and he even said that. President Duterte admitted that, he called Drilon arrogant. He even linked him to the corporate oligarchs in this country. So Duterte must have been really pissed off with Drilon that Duterte devoted a lot of minutes of his speech attacking him and Drilon's allies, the oligarchs and the Lopez family. So here's a part of the video, so I had to really get the exact minute here. So here's President Duterte ready to attack Franklin Drilon, the senator, the opposition senator. Virus.
There are those who take advantage of a preoccupied government.
Alright, so he's saying that, there are some people like Senator Franklin Drilon who's taking advantage of the coronavirus crisis that we have in this country. I like his pronunciation of the virus, not virus, but that's okay.
One of them is Senator Frank Drilon. In an interview, he arrogantly mentioned, among others,
I need a popcorn here, but I don't have a popcorn.
that oligarchs need not be rich. Then he linked the anti-dynasty system with oligarchy, and the topic was my daughter and son.
Alright, so as you can see, President Duterte clearly stated that he has some bone to pick up with Mr. Franklin Drilon, the senator, because, Senator Drilon linked Duterte and his family, his son and daughter, to oligarchy. Alright, and Franklin Drilon said that, for you to be an oligarch, you don't have to be rich, which is actually correct. That's the truth. You don't have to be rich to be an oligarch, because what's the definition of oligarchy? I've discussed this in the past. Actually, there are a lot of there are a lot of types, not definition. There are a lot of types of oligarchy. Okay, oligarchy is simply defined as a small group of people having control of a country organization or institution. So it does not specifically define. It does not specifically define what this small group of people is. Okay, is it a political group of people? Is it corporate? Is it business? Is it religious, etc.? So that's the reason why I said earlier that there are a lot of types of oligarchy, and some of them are nobility, wealth, politics, education, corporate, military. So I've discussed this in length in the past, actually, defining oligarchy, the types of oligarchy. Because yes, we have definitely political oligarchs in this country. The cronies who became oligarchs. Okay, cronies and oligarchs are related, but they're not the same. Okay, for you to become a crony, you must have political connections. But I must tell you, all oligarchs are cronies. Okay, all oligarchs are cronies, but not all cronies are oligarchs. For a crony to be elevated to the status of an oligarchy, they must have monopolistic control of our economy, and then they become kingmakers, etc. And I'm gonna admit that yes, the Lopez family, they are kingmakers. Okay, they are an oligarch. They have all these connections with all the regimes and presidents in the past, especially the last presidency of Noynoy Aquino, because we know that Noynoy Aquino had something to do with all of these contracts that probably ABS-CBN had, and we know that ABS-CBN had something to say with the victory of Noynoy Aquino. As we all know, after the end of President or dictator Marcos's draconian or martial rule, we had Corazon Aquino, and Corazon Aquino, who became president, gave the ABS-CBN and all their properties back to the Lopez family. So, and also during the time or term of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the Lopez family and ABS-CBN had all these sweetheart deals, and this was one of the biggest news in 2008 if you're gonna do some research. So yeah, admittedly, we have business or corporate oligarchs in this country, but we also have political oligarchs represented by the political dynasties that we have in this country. And I don't know if I was the one who discussed that first, but even before I learned that, Drilon actually said that, I was actually talking about the difference between political oligarchs and corporate oligarchs in the past, right after Duterte attacked the so-called oligarchy, and he even claimed that, I dismantled an oligarchy in this country. I would like to understand really the thought process of President Duterte. It's like, I'm gonna tell you this, it's kind of gullible. He talks like a barber, yung barberong kwentong barbero. If you know what I mean. He's a braggart, and like I said, he reminds me of someone who's gullible. When I recall this statement of him in April, wherein he was saying that there's gonna be this company is gonna make vaccine available by May, and I was saying, no, that's not possible. That's not scientifically possible. It's not possible. How can you even say that? The president is surrounded by scientists and experts in the field of health. They have Doke, who's probably not that smart enough to advise the president and tell him correct information about medicine and clinical research. But the president was in the media saying that there's going to be vaccine available by May. So all right, so we understand why the president is so pissed off, because Senator Franklin Drilon was speaking of the truth. He said merely the truth by saying that we have the worst type of oligarchy in this country, and this is the political oligarchy represented by the political dynasties in this country. So these are few powerful men governing our domestic affairs, and they can shut down any business. And Duterte even said that I'm gonna shut down the telecommunications if you're not gonna do better. So which is more powerful, which is more dangerous? Is it the political oligarch or the corporate oligarch? And I must tell you, the most dangerous type of oligarchy is political oligarchy. And to give you some examples as well, in Myanmar they have military oligarchy, represented by the military junta. In Saudi Arabia and Iran, they have religious oligarchs, as in Iran. Iran is being ruled by the religious clerics, or imams. So let's continue.
This happened after the Committee of Franchise voted 70-11 to deny the grant of franchise to ABS-CBN. Obviously, he was defending the Lopezes, that they are not oligarchs. Great word.
I must say that that's probably not what Mr. Drilon said. Defending, well, he probably defended the Lopez family, but Duterte is reading, Mr. Franklin Drilon's statement as defending the Lopez family and attacking Duterte and his family.
Economic elites and corporations to influence public policy to their advantage. Media is a powerful tool in the hands of oligarchs like the Lopezes, who use their media outlets in their battles with political figures. I am a casualty of the Lopezes during the 2016 election. The killers and purveyors of the illegal drug, hiding in the shadow of COVID-19, have stepped up their activities. The amount of shabu valued at millions of pesos seized during police operations speak volumes of the enormity and the weight of the problem that we bear. The corrupt, the grafters, and the influence peddlers also take advantage of their fear and confusion. The coronavirus generates.
Alright, he's speaking gibberish here now. So, well, Duterte is really pissed off that someone has to tell him that you are the real oligarch, when that's actually the truth, okay? Alright, so next topic that Mr. President or President Duterte attacked are the telecommunication companies. So he said that he's going to devote the remaining 2 years of his presidency attacking or looking at the telecommunication companies who also represent oligarchs in this country. So we have the Lopez family, they're down, and he's gonna go after the other businesses, the other cronies and oligarchs who own our water and electric and telecommunication facilities in this country. Listen.
For the remaining 2 years of my term.
All right.
All that is good that belongs to government, whether it be the airwaves, whether it be the lines, or whatever that is good for the people, will belong to the government, and it should be government who should be given the first option to utilize them.
Alright, here Mr. Duterte clearly shows his socialist trappings, showing the trappings of his socialist ideology and belief. So, you might say that, well, Mr. Duterte's critics today are the socialists, are the leftists, are the statists, are the communists. Well, the reason why is he had this honeymoon, very short honeymoon after his election, because before President Duterte's election, one of his biggest supporters in the Philippines are the communists, especially Mr. Jose Marie Sison, the leader, the apparent known leader of the Communist Party in the Philippines, who's currently living in the Netherlands. These are his supporters, biggest supporters and endorsers. And in one of his interviews, Joma Sison even likened President Duterte to Hugo Chavez Hugo Chavez in Venezuela and Fidel Castro in Cuba, if I'm not mistaken. So, because Duterte is a supporter of, or was a supporter, and probably is still a supporter of socialism, except that, the truth is, the communists, they agree with each other as well. Okay, they're humans. Okay, I don't believe, and it's actually a myth that when you're a communist, you don't have to disagree with each other. And as we all know, we have all these mass burials in this country, in which the communists killed their own comrades because they left the party, they left the revolutionary party, and they don't want their comrades, for example, leaving the revolutionary cause that they've been fighting for years. And we've heard of a lot of killings by Joma Sison's men of their former comrades, for example. So yes, communists kill each other because communists hate competition. So what I'm telling you is, after the honeymoon, the rebels in this country, the communists, still continued to ambush and kill soldiers, right? Despite the fact that President Duterte tried to appease them and even want to share the government with the rebels or the communists. But then, probably Mr. Duterte thought that he could appease the rebels or Joma Sison, but he didn't realize that, he's dealing with the very people who has his own temperament and ideology. So pare-pareho lang silang mainitin ng ulo. And Mr. Joma Sison even called Duterte butangero. Okay, so I'm very much familiar with that incident in 2016, 2017. So, alright, so the rebels and the CPP NPA continued to ambush and kill soldiers, and President Duterte called it, this is not gonna be good. So my cats are playing in the background, by the way. So Duterte realized that he would not be able to appease. He will not be able to appease his comrades, and so he declared war against them. So that's the reason why Duterte is still a socialist, and in terms of his ideology, he's a leftist. All right, but it doesn't mean that if you're a leftist, you're gonna go to the mountains and wage war against this country. No, that's not what American socialists are doing. That's not what European socialists are doing. The difference between Joma Sison and the European socialists in the Netherlands is that the Dutch, okay, the Dutch and the European leftists believe in parliamentary struggle, but Joma Sison is like a classical, Marxist. He believes in bloody revolution. Some people still have this mentality. So some people might even tell me and say in the comment below that, if Duterte is a socialist, then why is he not, turning this country into a socialist utopia? Well, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Even Obama tried to do that. It's not easy because you don't have the military. So despite the fact that Duterte has, for example, the probably 80 to 90% support of Congress, basing on how these members of the franchise committee, legislative franchise committee, voted against ABS-CBN, 70 versus 11, 11 voting in favor of ABS-CBN's franchise renewal. I must tell you that President Duterte has 80 to 90% support of Congress, so it's not enough for him to really turn this country into a socialist utopia. Probably he can do it piecemeal, little by little, but he could not do it the way Hugo Chavez did in Cuba, even in Venezuela. No, not Hugo Chavez, but Fidel Castro in Cuba. I need to correct that. And even in Venezuela, Hugo Chavez had to use the power of Congress. Okay, he had to do it in a couple of years, in a span of like 12 years, in order to fundamentally transform Venezuela into a socialist utopia that it is now today. Now, the president is like threatening these owners of telecommunications in this country that if you're not gonna do better, if you're not gonna make your service better, like what other telecommunications in other countries are doing, and the people in those countries are enjoying, if we're gonna make a better job, I'm gonna close all of you. He said that in this video.
Sobra kanila. I call on our communication companies to improve their services lest we be forced to take drastic steps to address the less than deal service that the public is getting from you. Alam mo, sisingit na lang ako dito. I am sometimes you are a government pictured to be weak and incompetent because we cannot really force our mandate. Alam mo itong nagbibigay ng mga public services, you better improve. Huwag naman ninyo kaming 10 taon bago kami makakamit ng mga services that the other countries are enjoying. If it's just a question of added capitalization or the infusion of money, go and look for it. Maghanap kayo, because if you are not ready to improve, I might just as well close all of you.
Alright, so that's the part in which he said that if you're not gonna improve your services, if it's not about money at all, if it's not about additional capitalization, and if you won't be able to do the job better than we expect you to do, then we're gonna close all of you. The question is, Mr. Duterte, who are you gonna replace them with? In our country, we have two options probably. It's either the government is gonna take over all of these telecommunication companies, okay, which is what he said here. We're gonna sequester or nationalize, or he used the term appropriate or expropriate all of them. That's what he said. So his option is nationalization, and the other option is let his new cronies or oligarchs take over. Alright, but the problem with Mr. Duterte is that he seemed to not understand that the reason why we have all these oligarchs and cronies in this country is because of government, big government, regulations, okay? And a lot of people don't know this, but I need to tell you this, okay? The telecommunications, media, all of these public utility sectors are protected from outside competition or foreign competition. And that's the reason why all of them are, and not only that, these are government mandated monopolies, okay? These are monopolies supported by the government, all right? And that's the reason why, it's not surprising that all of the big owners of these corporations are all of these politically connected cronies who now became oligarchs, all right? And the third solution to this oligarchy that the government created is big government, bigger government. All right, so let's just say we have a 60-40 ownership system in this country, okay? If foreign company, whatever that is, Telstra, for example, they won't be able to compete in this country, even if that means better service, faster, internet connection, and cheaper internet service. The reason why is all of the framers, most of the framers of our Constitution are either leftists or statists. So like I said, you don't have to be a communist to be a leftist. Some of them were probably centrists, but the Constitution in this country is full of leftist dogma, full of leftist policies, okay? All you need to do is check on them. And President Duterte is threatening to take over. And he's going to man all of these telecommunication companies with politicians, with appointed bureaucrats who don't know anything about running a business. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So probably in my case, the best solution, if you would like to really resolve this matter, bad service, monopoly, etc., is to open our economy to competitors. China did that. That's the reason why China is now very powerful. But despite the fact that China allowed foreign competition, in fact, some of the most effective strategies of China in order to attract foreign investors is they lowered taxes. They even deregulated. Despite the fact that they keep and maintain the Communist Party or the communist structure of the government, they made their economy so economically freer than the Philippines. And as Deng Xiaoping said, okay, the father of minimal or limited free market in China, his idol is Lee Kuan Yew, right? You need to probably check on all of this. You don't just take my words for it, okay? Lee Kuan Yew, when he visited Singapore, okay, Lee Kuan Yew is the leader of the Communist Party, is a premier of Communist Party more than 20 years ago, all right? Before his time, China was still like totally communist, okay? Everything is owned by the government. And during Lee Kuan Yew's time, when he visited Singapore, he realized that, why is it that Singapore is so rich and prosperous? It just, gained its liberty or independence from Malaysia. And then he realized that, Singapore opened its economy to the world. And in an interview, Lee Kuan Yew, I think it's Charlie Ross interview, if I'm not mistaken, Lee Kuan Yew said that, the question by Charlie Ross was, what's your secret? Why the heck you became, or Singapore became so prosperous? And Lee Kuan Yew said, we owe our progress to United States. We opened our country to the world. He specifically mentioned United States of America, and he even said that Singapore's immigration policy is patterned with America's immigration policy. That in America, unlike that what they have today in America before, immigrants, the immigration policy was based on merit, okay, to attract the best of the best, and that's what Lee Kuan Yew envisioned, okay, and he said we became prosperous country because we strive to be relevant to the world, and by relevant, they attracted businesses. How they did that? They opened their economy to investors. They lessen taxes. In fact, they don't have capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is the tax that most of the investors or all of the investors are paying to the government. So the quid pro quo is that, okay, if a billionaire is going to invest in Singapore, for example, the quid pro quo is he's not going to pay capital gains tax, and that's the reason why Mr. Saverin, Eduardo Saverin, I think is his name, one of Facebook original owners, the first investors of Facebook, migrated and became citizen of Singapore because of capital gains tax. Singapore does not have capital gains tax. So the quid pro quo, according to Lee Kuan Yew and his son, who's now the Prime Minister of Singapore, is that, okay, there is coefficient theory, actually. Forget the term. But, okay, we're gonna attract the rich of the rich in the world. The investors, the great minds, they're not gonna pay capital gains tax. They're gonna be free to invest. They're gonna be free to do business. Less regulations, unlike in the Philippines. The quid pro quo is that they're gonna provide a lot of jobs and opportunities, despite the fact that these rich people are not gonna pay taxes. The government of Singapore are gonna get some other taxes from income taxes from all of these employees created by these rich people, by these investors. All right, that's the reason why I always believe that flat tax coupled with less regulations, better or efficient market, less regulatory environment is going to low flat tax, like what Russia did, okay? It went from 15 to 12%, if I'm not mistaken. I think it from 30 plus to 15% to 12% in Russia. There were a lot of economies, socialist economies and state economies who were like attacking Vladimir Putin. That was in 2000 or 1998, during around those times. I studied all this actually. And Russia implemented a flat tax, 15 to 12%, if I'm not mistaken, but it's around those figures. Right, and Russia was attacked and was criticized by a lot of economic experts, okay, all over the world. But then after a couple of years, but Russia did not just lower, the tax rate paid by businesses and individuals. Actually, they also deregulated, coupled with deregulation. So you cannot just lower taxes and keep your regulatory climate so high and disastrous to business. That's not going to be good. All right, so lowering of taxes or flat taxation should be coupled with deregulation, less red tape, better economic climate, more freedom, etc. If you're going to do that like Russia did, instead of getting minimal or low tax revenue, Russia instead got higher tax revenue collection. All right. So going back to Mr. Duterte's threat against telecommunication, I'm gonna close all of you and sequester your company or nationalize all your companies. I mean, who the hell this guy think he is? Who do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are, Mr. Duterte? He thinks that he's so good to run an economy when he couldn't even run our country better during this pandemic, right? Sometimes being a demagogue could make you a narcissist, and that's Mr. Duterte.
And we revert back to the line telephone. At kukunin ko yan, i-expropriate ko sa gobyerno.
Really? He said expropriate.
I'll be strict. Smart. Pati itong globe, ilang taon na ito. At ang sagot palagi sa akin, the party cannot be reached. Nasaan pa na pumunta yung yawa na yun?
Kwentong barbero, right?
Kung gano'n lang naman ibigay ninyo sa amin, we are a republic, a sovereign country.
Well, that doesn't mean that you can do everything you want. We are a republic, not ruled by one man like you. Right? A republic is ruled by the rule of law. Okay, that's what republicanism means. Rule of law and not rule of the few political dynasties in this country, Mr. President Duterte. You cannot just throw these terms out and then expect your fanatics to believe you, right? So a republic, if you can keep it, I think that's what one of the founding fathers of the U.S., I forgot, right? So, yeah, a republic if you can keep it. That's the reason why the American founding fathers chose to have republican system than democracy, okay? Because democracy is mob rule. And they understood that history told them that, no nation survived with democracy of mob rule. So that's the reason why there must be an objective rule of law.
Bear that in mind, because the patience of the Filipino people is reaching its limit. But I will be the one to articulate the anger of the Filipino people. And you might not.
So here, President Duterte is like expropriating the feelings and anger of the Filipino people. He thinks that he represents the Filipino people. Well, that's not what I think. That's not what I feel. All right, he's claiming that I represent the Filipino people. I know what the Filipino people want, and that's how a dictator talks. All dictators talk like him. Hitler, he believed that he has the vision of Germany. That's the reason why he is so mad with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, that. According to Hitler's Mein Kampf, humiliated the German race, right? And that's the reason why Hitler focused his anger towards the businessman, the capitalist during his time. He said that, capitalist. He used the word capitalist. The Jews, the bankers, and he envisioned to have a socialist utopia. He said that. A socialist utopia, because Nazism or fascism is just a form of socialism. The reason why is Karl Marx did not invent socialism. He merely created his own version of socialism, and what precluded some other men in the 19th century, the 20th century, to create their own version of socialism. So we had in the last century, Benito Mussolini, fascism, and if you read history, the founders of fascism were all early leftists or socialists. And in Germany, they have this National Socialist German Workers' Party. Okay, it's socialism. That's the reason why Hitler and Stalin were best friends, best buddies before they double cross each other. Okay, so that's what happened. So all of these, leftist dictators in the past use common good or the people to arrogate power unto themselves to gain so much power. They use the words common good, welfare of the welfare of the people. It's gonna be for the summum bonum or the good of everybody. So it's messianic, so to speak, and that's how President Duterte appeared in his SONA or State of the Nation speech yesterday.
What I intend to do with you. Kindly improve the services before December.
So he gave them an ultimatum.
So,
The President Duterte gave these telecommunication companies an ultimatum, and I'm a user of telecommunication. The internet that's powering all my equipment is coming from Sky Cable, and that's like Sky Broadband, I must say. And that's like a threat, not just to Globe Telecom, PLDT, Smart, etc., but also to Sky Cable and Broadband. And as we've seen so far over the past weeks, apart from the fact that the men of Duterte in Congress, apart from the fact that they wanted to shut down, or they managed to shut down ABS-CBN, they also wanted to shut down Sky Cable and Sky Broadband.
oh, Jesus Christ to Bethlehem. Better have that line cleared.
That's the reason why Jesus Christ trended yesterday, huh? All right, so next topic is, I'm going to tell you this. This is the next topic, by the way. The issue of China and the US. President Duterte devoted much of his time, and he appeared so brave and courageous, attacking simple man, Drilon, okay? A senator who doesn't have majority in the Senate, okay? He attacked telecommunications, who he can shut down anytime before December, he said. And he's claiming that, the enemy are the oligarchs. Yes, these oligarchs are at fault, okay? They have bad service, given, granted. But the problem is the government gave them power. And you cannot take it back by simply sequestering or nationalizing all of them. What's going to happen next? It's going to be bad service, because everything the government touches turns into poop. All right? Everything the government touches is going to turn into a disaster. It's proven in any country all over the world. No country has ever debunk that fact that all things that the government touches turns into a disaster. And President Duterte is like expecting that he's gonna do it better than what these oligarchs did so far. So now he pivoted to China. Okay, if he's so courageous when it comes to attacking Drilon and the oligarchs, he's so stupid and weak when it comes to China. Listen.
Last month, the Americans intends to go back to Soviet. I'll just put on record my thoughts. I have nothing against America. I have nothing against China.
Really?
But if you put pieces here, you double the spectacle of the most destructive. Just like Manila during the Second World War.
So he threatened America. So what do you mean by that? You're gonna double the spectacle of what? What was that again? Are you threatening America now?
The taking of this city. One of the most devastated cities in the world.
Is that a threat?
Kaya maglagay-lagay ka ng base at this time. This will ensure if war breaks out, because there will be atomic arsenals probably. This will ensure the extinction of the Filipinos.
So, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's probably not threatening America, because he said during his first statements that, I have nothing against America, I have nothing against China. He's like so afraid of the possibility that if America is gonna put bases in Subic, China is going to retaliate. That's what he's afraid of. He just doesn't have the courage to say that. The same way he clearly attacked other people in the early parts of his speech. Right? That's a problem with Duterte. When it comes to attacking or talking about China, that's when he turns to doublespeak. Okay? That's when he tries to mellow down his tone and speak in a much more figurative way. Okay? He's not talking in literal terms. Okay, when it comes to his China rhetoric, he's trying to mellow down his tone and make sure that when it comes to attacking China, he's not really attacking China, but he really carefully chooses his words when it comes to China. That's how I detect his psyche or behavior towards China. It's like psychologically understanding, Duterte's behavior towards China. He's afraid of China. Much more now that we have all these issues in the Kalayaan Islands. So okay, so the problem is with Mr. Duterte is that he devoted much of his time attacking Drilon, the oligarchs, but when it comes to China, he's so meek, he's so shy, he's so afraid, he's so scared, like a little boy. Alright, and the problem is he doesn't even have to say that, because Trump himself said, no, I don't have any plan at all to continue with American bases in the Philippines. So why the heck do you even have to say that, Mr. Duterte? Problem is with Mr. Duterte is that he devoted much of his time attacking Drilon, the oligarchs, but when it comes to China, he's so meek, he's so shy, he's so afraid, he's so scared, like a little boy. Alright, and the problem is he doesn't even have to say that, because Trump himself said, no, I don't have any plan at all to continue with American bases in the Philippines. So why the heck do you even have to say that, Mr. Duterte? To appease China? That's the only reason why he mentioned that, because Trump said, alright, in a lot of news so far, Trump says it's fine if Philippines quits military pact. What did Trump say? Okay, here's his statement.
I'm going to send
back to Washington with that message, but we'll send the real message on November 8th, right? We'll send the real message on November. But every time I look at him, he's campaigning. I mean, here you see the Philippines. The heads of the Philippines are so angry. He leaves for China. He's now negotiating with China. We've been in the Philippines practically for forever. A very important strategic ally. And what happens? China and Russia are probably going to take it.
All right, and not only that, so there's this video of Trump saying it's okay.
Well, I never minded that very much, to be honest. We help the Philippines very much. We help them defeat ISIS. I get along. Actually, I have a very good relationship there, but I really don't mind if they would like to do that. That's fine. We'll save a lot of money. You know,
So that's Trump's attitude when it comes to military bases, because in fact, okay, to be honest, to tell you the truth, America has over 5,000 or around 5,000 military bases, and in Asia alone, they have military bases in Japan, Hawaii, South Korea, Guam, Australia, Singapore. Well, Australia is not part of Asia. Singapore, Philippines. Well, Philippines is no longer part of this. In Thailand, so they have like more than 100,000 military personnel in Asia alone, and well, they don't. America does not have to have a military base in the Philippines. They have this nuclear-powered warships, okay, that can travel all over the world ad infinitum. Okay, they have Guam, they have Marianas Islands. So what is President Duterte talking about? Is he stupid? Is he crazy? All right. So stop the nonsensical talks about American bases in order to appease your masters in Beijing, President Duterte. You're just a cowardly president. That's the reason why you're like mentioning again the military bases, because Trump himself said that he does not have any vision or mission or any plan at all to be the policeman of the world.
first, I want to help all of our allies, but we are losing billions and billions of dollars. We cannot be the policeman of the world.
But as commander-in-chief...
So that's the mentality of President Trump. So he knows that all of these military bases, all of these wars, American wars all over the world are costly. They're going to cost America trillions of dollars. And not only that, he knows that America is protecting dictatorships in countries all over the world. He knows that. He even said that America is protecting Germany, Saudi Arabia, and he would like these countries to pay America for protecting them. So what kind of president Duterte is to even have this nonsensical gibberish about American bases? So the thing is, when it comes to China, he's so meek. He has so little words when it comes to China, because he doesn't want to anger his masters in China, right? He's afraid. He even said it here.
We don't fail to protect our rights in the South China Sea,
Okay,
neither beholden nor a pawn to anyone.
really?
We broaden the boundaries of Philippine diplomacy. We build productive ties with everyone willing to engage us on the basis of equality and mutual respect.
But that's not what China is
We
doing.
define our relationships with our most important partners, placing the country in a far better position
Really?
once our interests in an evolving regional order and emerging global problems.
How can your rhetoric with China or against China place the Philippines in a far better position when all of your minions, like for example, your military guys, Mr. Roque, were giving China a lot of excuses. They're justifying China's creeping invasion by saying, no, they did not intend to invade our territory. And when it comes to the issue of Benham rice, when China said we also own it, and Rocky came to China's rescue and defense, no, China did not mean that. Actually, China owns it. We're sorry, we apologize, etc. So being apologetic when it comes to China is not gonna help us diplomatically. It's simply gonna embolden China, because why so afraid of China? You mentioned about diplomatic strategies against China, and we've done that so far under Noynoy Aquino. So I'm a critic of Noynoy Aquino, to be honest, but he did the right thing by filing a case with the International Tribunal, and they acted in it. But instead of continuing with that fight, President Duterte stopped it, right? And because of that, China tried to reward their good boy for behaving properly, like a Chinese puppet. All right, so how can you protect the interests of this country by appeasing China? We've seen how, Taiwan and Hong Kong fight for their independence. They don't appease China, okay? Hong Kong and Taiwan know that China has all the weapons, all right? They have all the weapons. They have all these military bases. They have all this clout and power, but they don't run around appeasing China and Beijing, right? Unlike what Mr. Duterte is doing or has been doing over the past years. Instead, what Taiwan did is that it purchased weapons from America, and that really angered China. And not only that, the woman leader in Taiwan tried to establish better relationships with the USA under President Trump, and that again angered President Xi of China and his comrades in Beijing. And in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong people, despite the fact that they don't have military, that they don't have independence, they fight for their freedom. They protested, and they were waving American flags. All right, they were asking President Trump to help them, all right, against the dictatorship of China in Beijing. So they don't go around appeasing people. Yes, you are right, Mr. Duterte, that we don't have any weapon at all. We're not gonna win in any war anytime with China, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna appease China. You're gonna go around cowardly appeasing and trying to excuse China's invasion of our territories. All right, that's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do. Instead of fighting China diplomatically, instead of establishing relationship with some other global powers in order to neutralize China's influence in Asia, like what Malaysia is or has been doing. Even Mahathir Mohamad from Malaysia warned the Philippines not to accept Chinese loans, but instead of Duterte thanking Mahathir Mohamad's warning, Duterte happily received all these Chinese loans that are going to compromise our independence and sovereignty. And you talk about sovereignty like it's like, piece of shit, like you are.
Now, plenty of critics, both sides, claim about nothing has been done to retake.
Yeah. Look at his demeanor when it comes to speaking about that issue, and he had to make sure it's going to be the end part of his speech, and he's like stuttering like an idiot when he started to speak about the critics claiming that nothing has been done about protecting our interest in in the West Philippine Sea.
forcefully or physically the South China Sea.
It's West Philippine Sea, Mr. President, not South China Sea. Why do you even use that term? It's not South China Sea, it's West Philippine Sea. See that? I wonder why the media missed that. Okay, that is even he's even afraid to use West Philippine Sea. What are you afraid of, Mr. Duterte? And he carefully, like I said, he was carefully choosing his words. Okay, when it comes to China, unlike when he spoke against Drilon and the oligarchs, and if these oligarchs are so powerful, Duterte would be so coward and so meek and so careful when it comes to speaking about them, like he did with China, right? But there's a bigger bully in Asia, and that's China. And when a bully meets a bigger bully, what does a smaller bully do? Simply gonna behave properly. He's gonna appease. He's gonna try to appease his master. That's how small bully behaves. Okay, they're going to appease the bigger bully.
Unless we are prepared to go to war, I would suggest that you better.
It doesn't mean that we need to go to war, Mr. President. It simply means follow Hong Kong and Taiwan lead. Fight them within the bounds of reality. Okay, if you cannot beat them in a war, there are other channels and ways for you to raise your protestation, to oppose them diplomatically. And you can raise your issue with an international tribunal that's willing to take the case against China, like what President Noynoy Aquino did. And like I said, never been a fan or supporter of Noynoy Aquino. In fact, I was a critic. I was more angry with Noynoy Aquino than with President Duterte. And also establish alliance with other global powers like Australia, United States, and Europe. Instead, that's not what the president is doing. He's so afraid to anger China by establishing alliance with China's traditional enemies.
Endeavor. China is claiming it. We are claiming it. China has the arms. We do not have it. So,
China has the arms, and do you know, or did you know what Taiwan did? Taiwan purchased a lot of weapons, billions of dollars of weapons, in order to protect itself, and because of that, Taiwan angered China.
it's simple as that. They are in possession of the property. You remember property, you're a lawyer, property rights. It has nothing to do with the Philippines.
What? In possession of the property? What the hell is this man talking about? That's the reason why he used the term South China Sea. He doesn't want to use West Philippine Sea. What property is this
Laws of property.
coward talking about?
It's akin to, they are in possession.
Because they were in possession of the property because you allowed them to. You allowed them to. You focus on stupid drug wars. You focus on demonizing your enemies instead of protecting our territorial interests. That's the reason why it's your fault.
What can we do? We have to go to war.
No,
And I cannot afford it. Maybe some other president can, but I cannot. Inutil ako dyan, sabihin ko siya.
You're right.
Ano million to
That
million?
I agree.
Talagang inutil ako dyan. Walang magawa. I cannot.
But I really feel for him for that. I can see that he's sincere enough, except that he's misguided. That's the only problem.
The moment I send my Marines there at the coastal shores of Palawan, tinamaan ng cruise missile lahat. Hindi pa nga naka-sitsay yan eh. Sabog na. Let me see again that the victory in the global battle against COVID-19 would take longer than we expect. Everyone's cooperation is needed.
All right. In the last part of his speech, President Duterte made sure to pivot again to Senator Drilon. He couldn't just let the guy go, and that's how pissed off he is. Right. So let's listen to his litany.
Ano, kung hindi tayo nakakaintindihan. Drilon extended, he was defended. I would like to ask Drilon, were you a part of ACRA when this contract of Ayala Water was being drafted? And why are you fumigating? Bakit kasi ikaw lang ang galit?
All right, so in this particular section of his speech, he's done appeasing China. He's done saying no, we don't have the military capability to go to war with China. He's so afraid. He's so meek, like a little boy. He's so scared of China. But then when he went back to attacking Drilon, he was able to regain his composure. Okay, he became, so energetic again, so mad again. So, did you notice that transition from being so meek and shy and so scared like a little bully? He transitioned to an energetic, mad dog.
Being drafted. And why are you fumigating? Bakit ikaw lang ang
Fumigating. Should have been the word fuming. Fuming in anger.
Dynasty. You are a hypocrite.
All right.
You know that you cannot pass an anti-dynasty.
It's so ironic that Duterte, who was so mad when it comes to attacking his Filipino critics, was so courageous and brave, but when it comes to China, he's so meek and shy and scared. He doesn't even consider himself a hypocrite. Well, he considered himself inutile, okay, for not being able to defend. We don't need an inutile, president in this country.
Ikaw nandyan sa Congress, ikaw ang mauna dito. But to take it against me for protecting my country is something which I really resent. Alam mo, you describe using the dictionary the synonym ng mga oligarchy. Then you proceeded to characterize everyone, every name, and then said that oligarchy is not bad at all, because not all oligarchies are bad. True, but ito, to my countrymen, the oligarchy that exists in this country is the oligarchy that existed during the Spanish time. And the Spanish lands and the friar lands and all the benefits that were passed on to the insulares who did not go back to Spain or to the Spaniards and into their. But that was long ago. It has been forgotten. This is the oligarchy that controls the Philippines. By what? By taking control of the water and the electricity and the power.
And who gave them that control? It's the government. And as I discussed earlier, President Duterte's solution to every problem is government, dictatorship, force, draconian rule. That's his mentality. That's the reason why I said earlier at the early part of this video that I would like to watch his SONA in order to better understand his psyche or his psychological behavior. And he's definitely a leftist. He believes that the only solution or the main solution to each problem that we have today is by using government power, and draconian at that. He doesn't even believe in the use of other instrumentalities of the government. He could have trusted the judiciary in our country to resolve some other issues, but instead he used the power of Congress in order to end ABS-CBN. All right, why? Because they have the numbers. It's a numbers game, really. When it comes to franchise, it's a numbers game. Whatever the hell you did in the past, whether you did good or not, whether your crimes or violations can be sorted or resolved by the lower courts or the NTC. It's not material. That's not relevant enough. What's important is that they have the number to shut you down, and they were able to do that. And just like the co-warranted cases against former or ousted Justice Serrano.
An oligarchy mo, Drilon. Wala na oligarchy dito except that we have control. Look at how can you now craft a new contract? Because I would insist that you pay the billions and billions that you collected. For example, water treatment. Oh, nandyan sa kontrata. It's in the billing. They've been collected. Since 1990.
So what do you propose? If you think these oligarchs, these water companies, and I'm a victim as well because my last month bill was so high despite the fact that I was not using 69 cubic meters of water. What do you propose? Why don't you use your government instrumentalities? Why don't you file cases against them instead of ranting, instead of threatening to take over? Because government takeover won't resolve the issue. It's gonna be worse. I tell you, if you're watching this and you're a Duterte supporter, and if you think that the best solution is for the government to take over this government or monopolistic facilities like my Manila Water, Maynilad, Meralco, water and electric companies, if you think sequestration or nationalization is the problem, you're so stupid. You're an idiot if that's what you believe. Because government intervention, government takeover is gonna make it a lot worse, okay? A lot worse. Like what's happening now in Venezuela and Cuba.
Ilang bilyon na wala ni Rizal.
Right, so basically it's rambling like a lunatic at the latter part of his speech, but here's my takeaway here, okay? Alright, having watched President Duterte's speech, I must say, and I'm gonna reiterate what I said earlier. It's boring, it's so uninspiring, it's so vile, and I don't know, I just don't like it. But thankfully I was able to watch it to really confirm my theory that President Duterte is a rabid socialist demagogue whose belief is solidly anchored on statism and socialism. That's the reason why his main solutions to many problems that we have in this country is always government takeover, big government. It's always brute force. All right, but anyways, he still has 2 years, and it's like threatening other companies like this power, electric, water, and telecommunication companies that you have until December to make it work, to do better. And I don't know what's gonna happen next, but looks like it's gonna be a lot of exciting. We're gonna have a lot of excitements, and a lot of probably suspense in the next few months before the end of the year. So, but looking at President Duterte, he doesn't look healthy. To be honest with you, he doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look well. He looks so weak, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, and he's trying his best to appear strong. Okay, he's trying to fake strength, and that's what he has left so far. And anyways, I need to end this video. It's getting too long already. If you like this video, please like, don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment if you have something to say. This is again Uncensored Asian Vlog, and have a good one to all of you.